leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Body.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. Everybody done so do his favorite job as a GM in the chat down below. Then have top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. Greatly appreciate it. Warms up the algo and does us a real solid. Glad to see y'all out there in the chat already. I just got an X update this morning, like minutes before I came on the show. I'm hoping that my update was just lagging and that the part of the issue yesterday was others were on different versions of X and I just got caught up. But can I get a quick audio check before I even get into disclaimers and cold open, Dobbins, Dort, Diablito? Can any of you flash me 100 out there? Thumbs up. Sounds good. I may have someone else come up on stage, if you don't mind, just to do a quick mic check before we get rolling. Make sure it's not just me. Aspiring nobody's abolisher. Appreciate you all out there. Thanks so much. You all are legends. YouTube sounding good as well. If anyone wants to jump up and do a quick mic check here in a bit, feel free to do so. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm sure we'll have some guest speaker here momentarily. But we do have a big guest coming up at 9 a.m. If you haven't already done so, give us some love on the space. Let's get this thing warmed up. Go smash the like, repost, and bookmark on the audio spaces. It's up there, pinned up top. You'll also find the YouTube link, the abstract link, and the X video spaces. And we are back. We are so back. Called bottom the other day. I said 80K was Bitcoin in the 80,000s was our 16K Bitcoin moment this cycle. And I know we're back now. I got confirmation. I just heard it on Modern Market. B-Check has finally flipped from bear to bull, or at least feeling underexposed to the industry he logs in every day and talks about. So B-Check and Legendary finally starting to get some FOMO. the tingly, the spidey senses are going off. They feel the cycle is not over. We're not going to zero. That said, crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exception risky. It all can go to zero tomorrow. Please don't put any money you can't afford to lose. Know that I hold tokens I'll talk about from time to time. And I'm not a financial advisor. I just encourage everyone to full port their 401k into Bitcoin, and that's not recommended. So don't follow me for financial advice. Just join us for some fun, some information, maybe a little bit of education along the way. You will actually get some education today. I'm excited to talk about our guests. I genuinely am becoming a very bullish flow in their changes. Those are my words, not theirs. I said yesterday, I think it might be the most slept on blockchain in all of crypto Twitter. Excited to have the team on here in a bit to dive into that. But we have other news. It's been a hopping week in the news streets, maybe bolstered a little bit by Art Basel and all things happening Art Basel down in Miami. I'm hitting the road after the show today. Looking forward to the Pudgy party tonight. There's a ape after party, and might get into a thing or two tomorrow morning. But just a quick trip, day and a half trip, back at it. Extremely busy month. I think I'm going to cancel my postpone. I'm not going to cancel. I'm going to postpone my Costa Rica trip. Just too much going on in the month of December. And as much as I'd love to research investment property in Costa Rica, I should probably close on the property I'm in contract in here in the States. And it's a much bigger project than I typically take on in terms of that realm. So TBD, but just buzzing down and back and forth with Art Basel. And we'll see where the month takes me, but I am bobbing and weaving. I'm actually was not expecting all the, I was 50-50 actually. If you've missed it, 010 or 010, I'm not sure how it's being pronounced, down at Art Basel. It's the digital art exhibition. First time having this. I mean, there's been digital art presence, but this is the first time that it's actually been a focal point. And word on the ground, I'm excited to see myself, but word on the ground was it is like kind of the talk of Art Basel. I know I'm in an echo chamber. I know it's probably just my timeline, but the exhibitions look vibrant. The reviews they're getting from the Art Basel account, the mainstream media, it looks rather promising. Looks like it's here to stay, and hard not to. I mean, art is always kind of weird. You know, like you got a banana taped to wall that sells for millions of dollars. It's not eccentric, maybe is a better word than weird, but we level that up when our, I don't want to put it on and say Beeple is the spokesperson for the space, but when you have public figures like Beeple who are extremely eccentric, and he's got his dog robots rolling around there, like it's definitely turning heads and capturing eyeballs. Some people may still scoff at it, but seemingly, it seems to me, it's kind of weird where since 2021, 2022, since the NFT mania, I would say NFTs and probably digital art felt kind of like all-time lowish since then. Since the mania, felt like things had kind of like just down only. It seems like a little bit of resurgence, not just Art Basel, but we have at Art Basel, we have the Jack Butcher mint we talked about yesterday, the receipts, or I should call it by the proper name. Let me pull it up just so I'm not misspeaking here. But we got the Jack Butcher project. We got the Xcopy mint bubbles. We'll talk about that here in a second. This Jack Butcher project is called self-checkout. I thought yesterday, I think I said you can only mint in person at the installation, but I think I just saw, yeah, you can check out on, you can mint something digitally as well, is my understanding. That says 4 kiosks, 1 counter. Maybe I'm wrong. Is anyone minted one of these remotely on chain, or do you have to go in person? Does anyone know? Let me know in the chat or jump up and talk me through this. I saw that our guy Imlo out there got a 1-on-1 Beeple. Congrats on that. I'm going to put you on the spot. No obligations if you can't, but I'd love to hear what that entailed, how you got the running for that, how you won it. And I'd like to talk to. I'm heading down there today, but I would like to hear from someone who's been there and is seeing. Am I right? Is my read from crypto Twitter accurate in the sense that it seems like digital art's having a moment at Art Basel, which is kind of a big deal. This vision of the art world's merging and it not being digital art, but just art. Seemingly, from my perspective, very much in an echo chamber. Seems that we might be having that convergence of digital art, and it's just art. And digital art is one of the sectors of art and respected by the TradFi art collectors and artists themselves. I could be way off, but Imlo, I'll wait till he connects here. We'll get the boots on the street take from it. And again, congrats. I saw just flew right into the speaker. I didn't get the spinny. No mic. Are you is audio working okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. GM, thanks for jumping up. Appreciate it. Congrats on the 101 Beeple. Pretty fire. I'll pull that up on screen here in a second. Is my read correct? Is digital art having a moment at Art Basel 2025?
100%. And I'd actually argue that like the most energy that was at the main Art Basel fair was coming out of the 010 awesome. Crypto art galleries in the corner.
That's exactly my read from afar, from online. I just didn't know whether it was solely because, believe it or not, my crypto Twitter is extremely skewed digital art as opposed to traditional art. There is some traditional art influence there, but it's very much skewed. So I didn't know if it was just my echo chamber or actually is what's happening on the ground. And yeah, it's having a moment. It's the most vibrant part. Again, you're hearing it not just from me who's seen it online, but Imlo who's there. It's popping.
What's interesting also is that the reason that we were even able to have so many galleries in Art Basel itself is because the main fair, not that the main fair is dying, but since COVID, there's been a bit of a drop off between like not just attendees, but also galleries that have been kind of bringing their galleries into the main fair. And there were a drop off of like around 20 different galleries since last year. So that made room for our crypto galleries to come in and kind of have a moment. With regards to the Beeple thing, I must have waited around that pen for around like 4 hours until I saw a moment. I kept scanning QR codes on the ground until I saw one that said, this one has a digital NFT. And I basically said to Beeple, like, can I have this specific one? He called me MFer, and then he got it for me. So I was very happy about that. But I mean, pure luck mixed with a little bit of conviction, just standing around there and waiting till I saw the right moment.
That's awesome, man. Well, big congrats. And I got to put up here on screen. If you look at the video, this is the an NFT, a 101 NFT that is essentially representing the Beeple robots that are rolling around at Art Basel. I mean, I'm knowing you, and you're an artist, you're a collector. I'm guessing you're vaulting this thing. If you were to, I mean, first, I guess, is your plans to vault it? Do you plan to sell this thing? What can I ask?
I mean, right now I have no plans on selling it. I think that it's a nice memento for me, and also I think like Beeple's exhibit was probably the most viral one out of all of the Art Basel exhibits. So the fact that I was able to secure an NFT from that is really sentimental and special to me. Listen, if I get an offer of like 20 ETH, will I sell it? I'll definitely consider it if anyone is thinking about it. But like, I don't have a plan right now to sell it, and I'm just happy that I was able to secure it.
That would pay for Art Basel trip for sure. I think you're wise though. I agree. I think this could, maybe not. Who knows, right? I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's a one-on-one Beeple. Your downside is limited. On the other end, I mean, yes, sentimental, it's a cool experience, something you'd like to collect and hold because of that emotional attachment and the actual experience that you had there. On the financial side of this thing, again, it's a one-on-one Beeple. The downside's limited. The upside, if this does end up being a seminal moment for digital art, and we look back 5 years from now, and it's like, today, we still talk about the $69 million Beeple sale in 2021. It kind of kickstarted NFT mania. I'm not saying that Art Basel 2025 kickstarts an NFT mania, but I genuinely believe this. I do believe Art Basel 2025 could jumpstart digital arts, more of digital art acceptance in.
Yeah, I'd say that right now the walls are being torn down in between quote unquote like crypto art, digital art, traditional art, all that other stuff, and like the labels are kind of going away as people realize that this movement is part of the future of art in general, and it's one of the most exciting parts of art right now and the past 20 years. So the fact that we were in the we started at house parties a few years ago, like showing art just to our friends, and now we're literally in the main stage is a really big coming up moment, I think, for the space in general. And like what's cool also is it wasn't PFPs at all. Like what people would generally think of as NFTs, the monkey JPEGs and everything else wasn't there. It was just pure NFT art, and people weren't even necessarily calling it NFT art. I think, like, by the way, what you were asking about the Jack Butcher mint, yes, you can do it online also. And also, it basically gave people their first NFTs for the price of whatever people put. So whether they put $1 or they put $1,000, they got a receipt and got the seed phrase on it with a soulbound token.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I wasn't even thinking about the new wallet, the new soulbound token. That's pretty cool. I was just thinking, which makes sense. But I wasn't even, yesterday I was kind of dunking on the soulbound token. I didn't really love that. But
it's because that part is not supposed to be the speculation part. He wants to Jack is a master at driving attention to where he wants to drive it. He doesn't necessarily want to drive it to the flipping of the NFTs because he wants everyone to be able to participate. It's open for a week. Everyone can do it if they want to. You can pay as little as $1. You can pay as much as $50,000, $1 million, however much you want to spend. The thing is that he wants people to participate. The same with the Xcopy stuff. Those are all free mints. I think most active people in NFTs probably were allocated 10 bubbles or whatever it's called. But if you're here in person, they have like anyone that just walks up to the booth gets 100 bubbles. So and those go into a self custody wallet that they're custodying if you don't want to import it to your own wallet.
So do that if you're at Art Basel, or if you're not at Art Basel, I would go do one of these Jack. You could do it for $1. Maria, thanks for sharing. She did her virtual mint. You could go mint one for $1.
Yeah, like the downside is so low for minting a Jack Butcher for $1. Even if it's just a soulbound, it's worth it.
Exactly. And same thing with the Xcopy. Go get 100 of them for free. For one quick question before I move on, is mine broken? Is this how it shows? Like if any number I put in, it's showing it's itemizing that many of them at $1 each.
Yeah, it'll put $1 per art.
Okay, so it's like a CVS receipt. The bigger.
Yeah, and basically the more you spend, the longer your receipt. So that's how he differentiates.
I don't
know.
So
if you spend $1 million, you'd have 1 million line items of art.
I don't know if this is if the online is different.
Online is exactly the same receipt looking. It looks exactly the same as that. The NFTs look identical.
You can see these numbers going up, and it started at 949, then 950. Now it's 951. If there's less than 1,000 of these minted thus far, I mean, it's probably going to be 1,000 for off the show here. And I know there's more days of Art Basel, but go get a Jack Butcher for $1. Like if they're in the world, there could end up being 25,000 of these or more, but.
And also he can potentially airdrop something to them in the future. And one thing Jack has done in the past has been rewarding his collectors and his supporters. So I could easily see him distributing whatever he auctions, like because he's auctioning off the main. I think he's auctioning off the main system of this whole thing.
That's pretty cool.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up distributing something back to people holding the soulbound tokens, and that would be a really cool moment. Like anything that he makes over the 100K or whatever that he spent on the booth.
Do we know where? Is this on Zora? Do we know what chain this is minting on?
It's on ETH, I think. Actually, yeah, I believe it's on ETH mainnet, but now I'm second guessing that part. But it's definitely not on Zora. Jaleel and Jack built a custom site called receipts.vv.xyz, I think.
Yeah, it is on exactly. That's what it is. Receipts.bv.xyz. I just didn't know if Zora was. I know Zora has their own minting platform. I just didn't know if they were white labeling that effectively for custom sites like this. But
no, Jack and Jaleel built a custom site for minting NFTs for themselves, unrelated to Zora. So I believe it's on that self-minting platform.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Again, this is not financial advice. If you're here,
this is life advice. It's $1
exactly.
to get a Jack Butcher NFT.
Yep. This is life advice. This is just like I said earlier, like VCheck and Legendary starting to feel like they're underexposed to ETH and cryptos because they're here every day and they're passionate about this space. If you're here every day, you're passionate about this space. Even if you're not a Jack Butcher fan, even if you're not a Xcopy fan, go mint a Jack Butcher for $1. Go mint a Xcopy for free. Your risk is $1. I will give you that financial advice. Like if you can't throw $1 at a Jack Butcher and an Xcopy, $1 combined, you probably should be doing something else with your time than tuning into Coffee with Captain. No offense. It's just, this is, maybe nothing comes of it. Maybe it's just to support the space. Some like these,
let's say all you're getting is the receipt and the bubbles. It's still worth it, in my opinion, just to get that and to participate and say that you were part of this move and you were here, and you'll be able to always look back 100 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, and see, okay, I participated in this thing.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a nothing burger, but maybe it's the tipping point to the next stage of our digital art revolution. And
if it is, so I was saying earlier, fast forward 5 years, 10 years, and people look back and they're talking about the Beeple Art Basel display at this 2025 Art Basel. They're talking about this Jack Butcher display, and you have that in your wallet. Maybe it's not even Jack. I think it will be Jack. I think Jack. I don't think this is the end. I agree with Imlo that he is very good at, maybe the best in the game as far as gamifying NFT mints. Really kind of kicked off that meta with Checks, right? Checks was the first one, or was it OPEPin? Checks came first?
Checks came first and then OPEPin. Checks was an $8 mint and OPEPin was free. They were around the same time though.
Incredible. If we look back in 5-10 years and we're talking about Art Basel 2025, like we talk about the Beeple $69 million mint, even if Jack never does anything, which again, I think he will for these collectors, it's likely a third party does at some point.
And not just that, if you do have the bubbles claim, I'm not saying to do this, but there are already offers on it for more than $1. So you could sell a few of the bubbles and recoup that cost to get the Jack Butcher mint, if that's really what your prerogative is.
Yeah. This isn't like, you may be thinking now, like, oh, what's $1 going to turn into? I'm old enough to remember Beeple, 101 Beeples, or maybe it was his editions. When I first got it, like before I had any NFT.
The politics of bullshit went from $1 to 100K.
Yep. Exactly that. Exactly where I was going to go. When I was in, I'm not glazing our future guests, but I started with NBA Top Shot on Flow. And then I found about simultaneous, I don't know what came first, whether it was Nifty Gateway or Zed Run, but after Top Shot, it was Zed Run Gaming, the digital horses. And then I was playing around on Nifty Gateway, entering in some of these. I didn't have I'm not even joking. Like my entire crypto budget to start out was like 0.2 ETH. I wasn't buying art. I wasn't buying mints. I was trying to do bids on, I was entering these $1 raffles on Nifty Gateway, trying to get a Beeple. I was playing the gas wars on, I don't know what I'm drawing. Ghost, GXSYT. Ghost was the actual artist name, right?
Yeah.
Was doing when he first launched, like pre all these minting platforms, she would just drop a NFT, and it was like at 0.001 ETH or something. It truly was a gas war to get it, but there was like 100 of us competing. Someday I'll tell that story. I don't want to go down that tangent, but if I search my Gmail for OpenSea offers, no joke, I made hundreds of offers on these NFTs back then. Never got a single one, and never had a single ghost. I don't know what they trade for now, but during the mania,
the ghost ones is probably good. You skip those.
Well, the OG ones, the ones that were just straight OpenSea mints and you had to fight for them, like they ran up to, I want to say 100 ETH. Like there was.
No, I was saying if you minted them then and then held them till now, I don't know that they're worth much
now. But at the Pico Mania,
yeah, you could have flipped them at the time for a lot.
And there was people that I was like basically my cohorts in the space, the people I was hanging out with in group chats, people that I knew, like that was their big win. It was they went hard at these things. They flipped them for collectively hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it set them off on their Web3 career. It is maybe not. It's easy to get excited. I'm an optimist. I'm a bull by nature. The spidey senses are going off though. I do think this could very well be a moment. And if it is a moment, these are the times you want to participate. You want to show that you're here. As part of what the beauty of blockchain technology is. 5-10 years from now, Imlo could tell us that he was at Art Basel 2025 and I participated. I went to these exhibits, and we could choose to believe him or not believe him. Blockchain doesn't lie. Like we not only know that he was there and minted a Jack Butcher piece, we also saw he won this one-on-one Beeple. And the only way to get that was being at the exhibit. Like I think that's, as we fast forward, not weeks, not days, not weeks, not months. Maybe, who knows? Maybe things could happen. Things do happen fast here. But I think certainly if we fast forward years, I think provenance in on-chain participation is going to matter big time, not just for your OpenSea C allocation, but I'm going to get myself in trouble with the whole OpenSea.
No, this is much bigger than any single airdrop, any single project, any single anything. This is a whole movement coming together to celebrate art, and it's really beautiful to see all of the support that the art community has come together to kind of put this show on. And it's incredible after this very brutal art bear market that we're still here, we're still around, and we're still back and better than ever.
Yes, I agree. Well said. Well said. I got some questions at where are these mints you're referring to? I'm going to pin the post up top. I'll go grab those now. I just make sure I will double check mine to make sure I get the official links, but always make sure you're clicking proper links. I love it. Imlo, well done today. Really appreciate you coming up. We have at least, I don't know, maybe a half dozen people that are going to mint these now that may or may not have had they not tuned in. So I'm not like blowing smoke. I'm not patting us on the back. Although I did call bottom. I called the Bitcoin bottom. This is why we do this. This is why Coffee with Captain originated is, hey, what do we miss? What's happening in crypto? What's happening in Web3? It's bringing a genuine smile to my face. We're talking about what mints are happening right now that I might miss. We're having a research. I'm not saying NFTs are back. I'm not saying we're having another NFT mania. We'll never replicate 21-22. I firmly believe that. It's going to be different. I can't remember last time. I can't remember. The last time I got excited about a mint was probably Good Vibes Club. I can't remember the last time I got excited about multiple mints in the same week, like genuinely excited about multiple events in the same week. Oxy will go to here in a second. I
will say one thing that's interesting is that both of those artists chose to do, actually all three of those artists chose to do basically free mints for the community or / for Art Basel, which is why I think it might have an even more lasting impact, because people tend to value things that they get for free in this context a little more. Think of Skulls of Lucy, etc.
100% agree. I was going to go there as well. Is I think part of what helped create that NFT mania is, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here, because artists should get paid. I'm not saying they should give away their art for free. Momentum's very real.
It's a balance. It's a balance between like figuring out doing art for art's sake, doing it for publicity, or doing it to make money. And all three are converging here in a very interesting way. I think Jack does it the most interesting in terms of just touching on the commerce part by literally having the amount that he paid for the booth up top and subtracting the amount that hit like his P&L for everyone that donates to it. And I think that like that part is interesting, and everyone is doing this in a different way. The Xcopy bubbles, I don't know if you realize, but there's one bubble that's popped in your wallet each day. So I have a feeling if you combine bubbles in different wallets, you might last a little bit longer.
Wait a second. What do you mean by combine bubbles in different wallets?
Like, let's say you were whitelisted on not just your main hot wallet, but you have 5 hot wallets that have NFTs on it, and each one, because there were like 300,000 wallets or something like that were whitelisted for this Xcopy bubbles mint. So it's likely that you have more than one wallet that has 10 bubbles sitting on it. What I'm saying is, I believe if you combine the bubbles from your different wallets, you'll last a little bit longer, because there's also some sort of gamification aspect of this that hasn't really been revealed so much yet.
So you think that the move would be to not keep them in separate wallets, but put them in the same wallet? Is your
Correct, because then you would lose less bubbles per day, because only one bubble per wallet gets popped.
Oh, is that confirmed?
That's confirmed. That's on the website.
Interesting. So I pinned up a couple things up top. There is the OpenSea post says bubbles.art/allow list. That is an official link. Xcopy's post of bubbles, you can see that. So I'm actually going to take that down just to clean up the jumbotron a little bit, because it's quote tweeted from the OpenSea post. The Jack Butcher site is also, if you click through the Jack Butcher post up top, and then the first comment in there is the actual link. Oxy, go ahead and get in here. Thoughts on this digital art resurgence, courtesy of Beeple, Xcopy, and Jack Butcher at Art Basel 2025.
No, yeah, I think it's cool. I know you kind of moved on from it, but like thinking back to 2021 days when like you'd be in a Discord trying to get raffle spots by joining Discord raffles and stuff like that. And then like Ghost, and there's a bunch of different projects, but it was just such a more pure experience. And man, my buddies and I talk about that all the time and how much we miss it and whatnot. Just talking about this experience going on now specifically, it sounds like they're doing this like kind of the poet, or not the poet. What was that guy's name? Pack. But the right way. What was his name? Deepak or something like that? Like
Murat Pack.
Murat Pack. Yeah. But the right way. Like they're like, this is the right way to handle it, because it's a free mint and it's a gamified experience and it's fun for people, instead of like, I don't know, whatever the rug that was back in the day. But I don't know, it's cool.
The
it's exciting.
He raised $100 million and then disappeared. Xcopy's been here, and these are all free. That's why I think it's a cool contrast.
I also think this is part of what could lead to the resurgence. Artists should get paid for their work. Unfortunately, the NFT mania brought in a lot of charlatans, grifters, scammers that just extracted, that rolled out these concepts, but instead of doing a free mint, they charged a lot of money for it. They made $100 million and walked. And I think that turned a lot of people off. I think it turned a lot of participants off. I think it turned a lot of artists off. And so now it feels like we're kind of getting back to those roots of let's have some fun on chain. Let's experiment. It doesn't always have to be free, but whether it's free or $1 or a $200 mint, that's when a lot of this stuff started. It wasn't the 2.5 ETH mints. Those came far later, in when it was hyper financialized, hyper speculation. I think stuff like this is, we were talking yesterday, like, what could be a next catalyst? What could be a massive onboarding mechanism? And I've been saying, builders and we have some unicorn success stories that attract other entrepreneurs, which by proxy brings in, active participants, traditional art collectors, like whether it's someone collecting a piece of free art at Art Basel, or someone going to ComplexCon and pulling a real life gotcha machine, and that helps them create a wallet, and there's some digital counterpart to their collectible there. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but it just to me kind of hit me. It's like, it really does feel like we're getting back to the roots of fun art, where you're not having to make a decision on, oh man, do I want to go spend 5 ETH to mint this thing today? Do I want to go spend? No, don't do that. Unless you're, an extreme high net worth individual, don't be spending thousands of dollars on some new NFT mint. But when there's opportunities like this, why not participate? Have some fun with it.
I will. One other thing I will mention is in terms of free mints, the Art Blocks mints, also the last 3 are free as well. So the one that happened 2 days ago with Jeff Davis, also was a free mint. And I think not that those have exploded that much, but they're like a 0.05 ETH floor. I think in general, the last three are cool because Snowfro is also doing one. If you don't have an Artblocks profile though, and you've collected Artblocks pieces before, make sure to register an Artblocks account so that you can get claim the free Artblocks NFTs as well. And they had a nice presence at Basel as well.
Is there a claim going on right now for Artblocks?
The Jeff Davis minted out. There were 1,000 pieces, but there are two more projects coming. One from DCA, who is Snowfro's brother, and one from Snowfro himself. Awesome. And the Snowfro one will be like a 60,000 piece mint. And I think you can even gift one to another person or something. So it'll be cool. I don't know how they gamified that, but very cool. And they had a Quine display, which was the fourth or fifth to last Artblocks project, which was the Larva Labs collection. So that's cool to see Larva Labs times Artblocks at Art Basel as well.
Yep, absolutely. Couple things real quick. I'll catch up on the chat. Before I forget, shout out to Yasm Crypto. We was a big Coffee with Captain. We listened to more Coffee with Captain on Spotify than did Rogan. Streamed 926 minutes. Was a top 7% fan. I'm looking for who's our top fan. Who can beat 926 minutes? Whatever, I don't know, probably by the end of the week, maybe on Monday, I'll pull the winner. Anyone that can has more minutes in Spotify than did Jasm here, you will win a DGen pass. I got a DGen pass. Whoever was the biggest listener on Spotify last year. I'm going to, I'll pin this up top just so you can see it as a reminder. But yes, Loki, it is. The title is Daily NFT Conversations. We still talk about NFTs every day. We don't. I guess we don't tout it in the title as much, just as even the acronym NFTs kind of developed somewhat of a not great reputation. But the official title of the show still is Coffee with Captain Daily NFT Conversations. I haven't changed it yet, but I will. I'll pin that up top. I'm curious if anyone else has their Spotify. If Coffee with Captain popped in your Spotify wrap, I'd love to see the screenshot. Either drop it in the chat or actually hit Jasm's post up top in those comments, and that'll help me see who was our number one listener. I'm excited. I've been excited. I felt. I mean, for the longest time, I don't think the cycle's over. I felt we still have some fun heading into 2026, potentially beyond. Was not expecting the NFT. I'm going to say resurgence, renaissance, to use our guy Zilke's term. I agree with Diablito. Minting paid NFT mints doesn't excite me that much anymore either. I just think some of this stuff. This is why you don't leave. This is why you stay, even when things are down. You don't have to be trading every day. You don't have to be buying stuff every day. There are times where if you check out for 6 months and come back, you're going to miss some of these opportunities. Maybe none of this turns into, financial reward. For $1, I think it's worth rolling the dice. So go get your Jack Butcher, go get your bubbles. The bubbles, by the way, and this is the next thing I want to hit on, and a couple other topics, just because I know we got a guest coming up in about 20 minutes. We'll do a deep dive on flow. I do want to talk about Bored Ape Yacht Club just announced their always on merch store. Excited about that. I know that's been in the works for a little while. The Ethereum Fusaka upgrade went live yesterday without a hitch, and blob fees are way up. This is, I think, a big deal. I said that my bearish sentiment on Ethereum, the token, is the value accrual, and I thought it was just too favorable for the L2s, and not enough value accruing back to ETH. And I'm not saying this fixes it, but seemingly it's off to a good start, and for all parties. Like if you look, my gas widget is not even registering right now. 0.0 GUI for gas on mainnet. That's pretty good. This is Jared, unironically, on the flow team, or I'm sorry, Abstract, excuse me. No offense, Jared. Talking about blob fees are already up 1500x since the Fusaka upgrade went live. Went from 1 Wii up to 1500 and climbing quickly. If you're curious why, he's got a technical breakdown on the price of the blob fees. It's too cheap, usually 1 Wii. It's because L2s stop posting blobs when L1 gas fees are high, and Ethereum then lowers the blob cost unnecessarily. The IP fixed it with blob reserve price tied to L1 gas cost. It's above my. I mean, I'm sure I could put the brain space to it and understand it. It's pretty technical. All I know is higher throughput, more TPS, lower congestion, cheaper gas fees. So cheaper gas fees on ETH for the user. And if I'm not mistaken, as I understand this, it's moving some of the value accrual from the L2s to ETH, to mainnet. Oxy, check me on that. Am I saying this semi correctly in terms of this new ETH upgrade and what it means for Ethereum in the native token?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm in a similar boat. I'm not like technical enough to know all the intricacies, but I think exactly what you're saying is spot on. I think it's bullish, and clearly, I mean, price action, whether it's just market going up and ETH following suit. I think there is some underlying technical trades going on where people are like, okay, I like the way this is going. So yeah, I know. I think you're speaking about it correctly.
I saw another post from Jared as I was looking for this one to pin. He says, hot take on blobs. The incentives between ETH and L2s are misaligned. L2s want blob space as low as possible to keep gas fees low for users. Ethereum wants blob fees as high as L2s are willing to pay for the L1 security guarantees. How do we fix this? I think this is a big deal, potentially for ETH. And it just makes sense. Logically, rationally makes sense. So good to see it. One other thing before we move off of the bubbles, I had mine pulled up. I'll show that again here as I talk through it. Actually, where to go? Here we are. So actionable for those of you that go check that allow list on the OpenSea link that's pinned up top. Go check all your wallets. I've only done one here. As Imlo said, these bubbles are going to burst. I still have 10 in mind, so maybe it's no more than one bubble pops in a wallet per day. Does that maybe make sense? Or maybe it's not been 24 hours yet. Either way, these bubbles will pop. And it's a 10-year experiment. At the end of 10 years, all the bubbles will be popped except for one, and that one won a prize. I'm assuming it's going to be like a 1-on-1 Xcopy. So are you going to get a financial reward off these bubbles? Probably not in the short term, but it's part of your on-chain history. Maybe it's an Xcopy down the road. Maybe it's a third party. I think your on-chain history matters. I'd go play around with these bubbles. I mean, they actually make some decent PFPs. I've seen a few PFPs people rock them as PFPs. Shout out to Dort and Crocs in the War Room. Again, it's an Xcopy for free. Go minute if you can. Go check. I think the bigger story here, though, isn't necessarily Xcopy. It's when I first saw this mint, I had a little bit of FOMO. I'm like, shit, I wanted an Xcopy. I gave up. I don't hold any right now. So I was like, I'm not going to be eligible. But I was. And how I was eligible was this right here. I mean, maybe there was something else in there that got me eligibility. This OpenSea post, what's your current treasure count? Anyone who earned a tier 3 or above from treasure from any phase of our rewards program is on the allow list to claim Xcopy's latest drop, Bubbles on Shape. I don't really know anything. I know one of my best friends now is working for OpenSea, and one of his roles is not just comms, but rewards. And this really excites me. It's tapping into some of the things that were exciting, were led to a lot of that momentum when something you held or some activity you did on chain led to the next opportunity, whether it was an airdrop, whether it was an allow list. I didn't necessarily have this on my bingo card. I didn't necessarily see OpenSea leaning into this. I'm not saying it's going to be bigger, like what you might get access to because of your OpenSea rewards is going to be bigger than your C allocation, but it's pretty cool. I genuinely was excited I had the ability to go get this. I'm going to go check my other wallets today to see maybe I've got more bubbles I can go mint. You maybe think, oh, it's silly to get so excited about a free mint. Maybe. You know, someone's going to win something here in 10 years. I think I'm getting the sense we're seeing more and more of this. We'll talk with Flo here in a little bit, kind of going back to their roots and almost aligning with the collectors, aligning with the active participants, rewarding those collectors, rewarding those active participants. Things like the free Xcopy mint, things like the $1 Jack Butcher mint. This, again, I'm the permeable, I'm the optimist, so take it for a grain of salt. It feels like we're hitting, this feels like a pivotal moment. It feels like there's a shift happening as we speak. We could do the coolest experiments on chain that you could ever think of, and it's probably not enough to offset, you know, macro conditions or, you know, majors crashing. Maybe it could. I mean, when you think back to 2021, there was multiple major pullbacks, major crashes, both Bitcoin and ETH, when NFTs were seemingly up only for a while. And again, this is just, it's not that fun to think about, oh, do I want to go spend, like you talked about the last Art Blocks mint there, and, you know, Matt and John, which is really cool, like to own one, but I'm not in the market to go mint an NFT for 5 ETH or whatever that auction settled at. It's the inclusivity that the early NFT mania brought, whether you were buying Top Shot packs and then ripping them and potentially hitting a big win, whether you're doing $1 Beeple raffles on Nifty Gateway, whether you minted apes for a couple $100 and you hit it, you know, you caught lightning in a bottle there. Like, there was opportunities like this seemingly left and right. I'm not saying we enter that same phase again. I don't think we do. But there's a lot of indications that there's some momentum brewing. There's some excitement. There's some fun being, you know, injected back into the NFT space. And I think, especially if you're here today, you don't want to sit on the sidelines. It's your risk is a little bit of time, really little bit of capital. And who knows, maybe my read is completely off. And next week after Art Basel's over, everyone forgets about this and we go back to just talking about perps and prediction markets. I don't know. I don't think, I think there might be more to it than that. And I think this could be a real, real pivotal moment and kind of bring back some of that excitement around collecting NFTs, supporting your favorite NFT artists. So yeah, shout out to everyone who's participating in Art Basel. I know there's been a lot of work. Eli probably doesn't get enough credit. I feel he's kind of one of the ones behind the scenes that does a lot of, you know, making things like this happen. And it doesn't just happen. There's a lot of work and prep well in advance that is necessary to pull all this stuff off. And yeah, I'm excited to get down there today. Excited to see some people in person, and I'm going to go get 100 bubbles by going to that Xcopy. So yeah, if you're in Basel, excuse me, I think probably certainly worthwhile to go hit up that booth, go get your 100 bubbles, and again, what do you have to lose? Here is the last topic, at least I had on my agenda, and then Imlo, Oxy, Proof of Alpha DGen before we shift gears here at 9. If there's anything additional in the news that we missed or we haven't hit on, throw up a hand, or same thing in the chat if there's anything else you have questions on. All those links, though, should be pinned up top. Make sure you're clicking your official links. You can follow that OpenSea post or the Jack Butcher post. That'll take you right to both those. And the last one I mentioned here in passing, we'll get Alpha DGen's thoughts on this, but the next week, the always on store opening just in time for the holidays. This is the Bored Ape Yacht Club merch store. No longer just something that pops up in a merch drop window. This will be starting off with the Essentials collection, understated pieces, not limited run, Plan is to reproduce any of the pieces from the essentials that people end up loving. So new members will always have something to snag no matter when they join. You won't have to rely on hitting up Baron Von Hustle or Gene or someone that's sitting on a bunch of merch to hook you up. You actually can go just buy your own now. Some essentials merch will be accessible to anybody, no token gated, and some pieces will be exclusive and token gated to members. I love that. I think that's a nice little caveat. And open up next week. Opens December 10th. So, Proof of Alpha Degen, are you a merch buyer? We may have lost Proof of Alpha Degen. I'm curious.
Oh, sorry about that, Cap.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Well, there's a project I'm in that is a trading project or a co-op or what have you, and they just had an exclusive 100 piece release of a jersey. I'm sorry, a pullover, and I bought it. Yeah, yes, I am a merch buyer. So sorry, man. I'm a sucker like that. So yes.
I'm curious, Imlo, Oxy, you're active participants in the space. You're not necessarily quote unquote club members. As a, and I don't mean this derogatory, but as an outsider, just genuine thoughts on this, on not even just the merch drop, but we've been having conversations about specifically NFT native brands and how they become real businesses, how they build sustainable businesses and recurring revenue streams. Merch is not new, but the idea of always on merch, part of that collection being gated only to members, kind of new, I think. I mean, maybe someone's done this before, but I don't know if there's anyone with this size or reach the board.
It's nice that everyone will be able to have the black hoodies from their favorite PFP.
Yep, right. Are Oxy, any thoughts on your end? Does this excite you at all? Or like, it's nothing burger, or might you, whether you're a buyer or not, do you kind of see the vision as these NFT native brands start to mature, as I lack a better word, but kind of grow up and start turning on the revenue faucet? Does this move the needle at all for you?
Yeah, I think it's important that, any and all revenue, I feel like is important and should be captured, obviously in a non-predatory way. I guess I never really, I understand the idea and concept of limited merch when it comes to like the super premium brands and like people trying to get the drops and so on and so forth. Like, I guess what I like about having it on all the time is like, okay, we live in the space where we're like desperately trying to get mints, or like there's gas wars, this, that, and the other. Like, give us something that we don't have to fight over and like worry about and like, stress over, or have to, stay up all night trying to get. So like, I like that a lot. And I think the always on aspect is just, it's just more revenue. I think that's important. And if someone wants to buy, then why limit them from being able to give you their money, So I like it. I think that's a smart move, to be honest. And I never understood why token gated like products haven't always been available. Like, that's just the easiest and most pure form of NFTs that, we've been talking about for the last 5 years. Like, why not capitalize on that? So I like that. I do.
Yep. Well said. I agree. Our guy, I Can't Trade, who, I kid you not, I had this conscious thought. I sent him a DM yesterday, and then I'm not going to out his DMs, but he shared something with me that kind of confirmed my priors. I think I Can't Trade is going to be one of the big come-ups this cycle. He's going to go on the Thread Guy arc from the NFT cycle. He's going to go on the Clemente, Jindifer, ICO Beast come up from the Blast cycle, constantly putting out alpha, well thought out. He's got a Substack, and I'm not saying he's running perfect, but he's running pretty pure. He's been calling this Xcopy mint for at least a month, maybe months, that this would happen in December. He didn't have any inside info, just he's dialed into the space. He knows history, and he called this coming. It's just go give our guy a follow. I'm not gonna out his DMs, but his been on a heater, and big fan of this Xcopy mint. And he's just more to come on Xcopy. But he says, how do we know we're on the way back? Everyone's talking about it. Xcopy, Jack Butcher, Snowfro. That's how we know. The resurgence started with TokenWorks. I'm quoting here. Adam saved the space, and people still don't get it. I did share on the show, while thinking I wasn't eligible for bubbles. And people are asking, where's the list? Click through the OpenSea pinned post up top there. You can find the allow list on there. Go check your multiple wallets. If the first wallet you check's not in there, you might have another one. Part of the, so we don't know how the list was created. What we do know is anyone who's tier 3 or higher on OpenSea, you're on the list. So I'm sure there's other, if you hold Xcopies and there's other.
I think also this is a collab with Shape.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever done a transaction on Shape on any wallet, that wallet should also be whitelisted, I believe.
Yep, good call. So yeah, go check your wallets. Again, you got nothing to lose. Free mint.
I checked some random wallets, and I don't know how, but they were also whitelisted. Like, it's worth just checking, going on the site and changing over different wallets and seeing if it's eligible to claim, because you might be and you didn't realize.
Yep, good call. My Diablo, I'm not sure about Wallchain. I maybe check with them or check with the team if that campaign just ended. I wasn't as close to this one as I was the first. Ooh, Diablo said his bubble already popped. Oh no, it's because he hasn't done the OS quest. No bubbles for him. Check some other wallets. There might be something in there. I still have my full 10, so I'll take that. And not that I'm expecting to win, but man, that would be a fun sweat. You get fast forward 9.5 years, and you're one of the few remaining with a bubble in there, because who knows? But at that point, that Xcopy might be 7 figures.
Would you sell the bubbles at that point, or hold till the end?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, there's a number for everything, but
I'm so out of there.
It's like, because you're like the range of outcomes there. It's not like, again, I'm going to use $1 million as a crazy high valuation on it.
This is 1 in a million, though, because there are either I forget, there's either 1 million or 10 million bubbles, but basically you have 10 bubbles. So if you have 10 bubbles out of 10 million, that's 1 in a million.
Yep. I think that where I'm at is the risk there is like, yeah, you hit a 7-figure score or it's 0. It's not like, oh, you didn't hit the last bubble, so you still sell your bubbles for 100K. It's like, it's probably 0 or high 6 figures would be my guess. So yeah, I don't know. I probably, if there's a good offer, I probably, just being candid, I probably, depends on where I'm at in 10 years from now, but that would be it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game as we get down that. I know it's way down the road. Here's the other thing. I think this might kick off a little. I think part of what gets me so excited about this is we're seeing experimentation on chain again. It's been a while since we'd seen new mechanics, new stuff. We're seeing it with Jack. We're seeing it with Xcopy. I think there'll probably be someone who's not Xcopy that'll do something similar to this. It'll be another on-chain game that maybe doesn't run 10 years. Maybe it's a year. Maybe it's a month, with a big prize as well. I could see this kicking off a little mini meta.
I think also this is the most distributed Art Basel piece ever, with 9,000 wallets. That's more art sold or whatever distributed than I think any other Art Basel piece ever.
When I saw the number of wallets eligible was over 300,000 for this bubbles piece, I was like, how the heck are there 300,000 wallets eligible for this Xcopy piece? And I'm not one of them. Turns out I was. I thought it was like, oh, you got to hold an Xcopy. It's, again, shout out to OpenSea. They're not saying, oh, look at us. That didn't just happen. That's OpenSea doing business development. That's OpenSea working for their users, working for their collectors. That's also what gets me excited about this resurgence is, and I'm not taking shots at any of the NFT native brands. Like, we got away from that. We got away from free mints or allow lists because you hold this asset or you've been an active participant in our ecosystem. That stuff really matters. It creates momentum. It gets reasons to hold or acquire these things beyond just the art itself, and collect what you want. Don't buy things just for financial speculation, but the crypto native brands putting their collectors, their users at the forefront and rewarding them. I truly believe that's what we need to bring back some excitement in this space, to bring in some net new users, some net new buyers, some net new collectors. And the other thing that we haven't even mentioned this morning, but I think does play into this and enables these free mints or these low cost mints, is royalties can be back. We now have the technology that artists can make royalties, can have their royalties protected and not have to worry about, losing it out to Blur. Like this is, I haven't checked I haven't checked the Bubbles contract. I don't know if there's royalties. I'm just making an assumption that they're protected, but I don't know. If not, it's certainly possible.
I believe the royalties have been paid so far on the Bubbles.
We-
There's been over 5 ETH transacted already.
So likely so, yeah. That was my assumption, but I didn't verify it. Listen, we're heading up against 9 here. We will have some guests joining us in almost no time. Joey, thank you for coming up, because I know you can give me 60, 90 seconds so I can go refill my coffee and quick mobile stream drop before we shift gears. Is that good?
Yeah, of course.
You just got to talk until I turn my camera back on. Cool?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I think the Bubbles thing is cool. I think it's a really cool experiment, especially as a free mint. I think 10 years is a little long. But to each his own. I don't know how many people will still be interested or remember in 10 years that they have a bubble. Especially if we're onboarding like more people, but who knows? But I'm here to play the kind of devil's advocate on this Jack Butcher thing. So, or play the opposite side of it, which is, I don't get it. Like I asked in the war room, like, what is this, right? Like, is there some type, he's famous for his burning, right? And like, he started that whole burning meta with the O'Peppins and checks and all that stuff like that. And like, is there some type of giveaway you'll enter and maybe the person in the room that told me was like, nope, just the more money you give him, the longer your receipt. Explain to me how this makes any sense, right? Like, are we just willingly giving somebody money so we could have a digital receipt that, like, I just saw one and it literally says art $1, art $1, art $1, art $1 because they paid $20. Like, where is I'm sorry, where is the art in that? Like, where is the art is
the art is you questioning it and getting riled up about the fact that he's charging you. And by the way, he's charging you 7% tax on that non-art as well.
But that's my whole point, though. So this is, to me, you're just basically saying, like, I want to give this person money because I like the person. Is it
you want to participate in the experience and like
what is the experience?
The experience is Jack getting out of debt because he's $100,000 in debt because he paid $100,000 for the booth. He's not actually in debt, but he's in debt, like the P&L on the booth.
But like, why? Again, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, why? Like, to me, like,
it's a communal experience with microtransactions. It's basically allowing like smaller collectors to get a piece of this overall piece. It's more conceptual than like a piece of art that you'd look at, but I think it's interesting how he's been engaging the community this way and allowing a regular person that's walking that doesn't want to spend $1 million on a Rothko or something else to spend $1 and still get a piece from Art Basel. Yes, it's a receipt, but it's still technically a piece.
Yeah, and it's.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just saying, art it's subjective, right? Like a banana taped to a wall sold for 7 figures. Is a receipt the most visually appealing piece of art of all time? No, but it's I don't know the right word for it, but it is.
I mean, it's smart. I get what he's doing, right? He's like, hey, I'm setting up a booth at Art Basel. It costs $100,000. Do you want to be do you want a piece of this history?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you can, right? Like you can donate whatever you want. It's smart. It's a smart business move. More power to Jack. Like, I think it's amazing that he's able to convince people to pay for his Art Basel booth with a digital receipt, right? Like, but I just, and again, as somebody who's a collector and who can appreciate art, like, to me, this just, it sounds stupid. Like, I don't see how anybody in traditional art or a traditional collector is going to look at this and go, man,
it makes them question. It makes them question and say, what the fuck is this? And makes them think about it more than they would have had they just seen it and walked past it and gone about their day. It's not common to see the prices of something at Art Basel displayed like that. Normally it's price upon request or whatever. There it's out in the open saying, okay, I went into 100K of debt or whatever in order to pay for this booth. Help me out of this hole. It's the most honest. It's the most right, but I would say it's the most honest booth at Art Basel itself.
very transparent. I also think part of art, and I am not a art curator. I've never ran a gallery. I hold a few physical pieces. Most were created by my daughter, who's an artist. But I think part of art is not only is it subjective, it's you got to gain attention. You want people talking about your art. What are we doing this morning, Joey?
Oh, I'm not saying that what this isn't this is a smart business move by him. His name is being talked about. It's all over the timeline. He's getting his expenses paid for by other people. I just don't you made a comment about how, like, this could be a catalyst, a renaissance, all these things that are happening right now. Like, I just don't see how a traditional art collector, right? If our goal is to go mainstream, right, with digital art.
If it was Jack's booth by itself, maybe not. The fact that you have 12 different booths, all with different artists attacking this from different angles, and Jack being one of them, attacking it from a very different angle than all of the other artists, makes it a more cohesive group as a whole. And I'd say them in conversation with each other is the most interesting out of all of it. Not any one booth in particular, but all 12 combined.
And everyone is entitled to their art, like we say, artist objectives, opinions, etc. Me personally, when I was in the war room asking, like, what is this? Like, because I wanted to get some information. It's like, that's it. You just buy it and get a receipt, and it helps pay for his booth. Like, I don't get it. I don't see how a traditional art collector walks by and goes, yeah, I'm going to give this guy $50 so I can get a digital receipt. I don't see how that brings digital art. Now, the bubbles thing, I get. I think it's super cool. It's an experiment over 10 years. Like the checks, the Opepins,
the way Jack pitched this is also an experiment to see whether he can recoup the cost of the booth or if it's just a wash. And either way,
but he's not the first person to ever try to recoup the cost of a booth that he bought, that someone bought at an event.
But he's very transparent about it. He's showing you what the cost of the booth is and how deep in the hole he is, and that the price is getting less and less, and maybe it'll even be positive at some point when someone comes and says, okay, I'm giving $1 million and I want the longest receipt ever.
It is an experiment. I think that's part of what like, we don't know. Like, maybe this is all it is. Maybe it's just a booth. He either breaks even, makes a little money, loses money on the exhibit, and moves on, and we never hear about it again. Jack's MO is not that, though. There's always another, mostly, not always, because there has been some low-cost free mints or open editions that I don't know if anything else ever really came from it. It was just the art. Maybe that's all this is. Please don't go spend thousands of dollars and get a long receipt just because you think it's going to be turned into, a 10x. I just think if that's what it was, Joe, if the only way you get this receipt is you had to spend 1 ETH or greater, we probably wouldn't be talking about it today. The fact that it's $1.
I mean, I think, but see, like, to me, I think it would be cool if it was, and who knows, maybe there's more coming. But if it was like, hey, I need to recoup $100,000, so at the most, and let's just pretend, right? Like, the most I'm gonna collect is 100,000, because you could see on the website how it keeps showing like how negative in the hole is.
It's possible that that's the case, and he ends up airdropping people.
Well, but that's what I was going to say is, now, if there was some cool, like, if the next step to this was like every dollar you spent to help me recoup my 100,000 was you're going to be entered into a raffle for a 1-of-1 Jack book. And who knows, maybe that's it, right? Like, I think, to me, then I could understand the idea of like, hey, let's do this. But if it ends up just being like, you get a digital receipt, and if you want to have the longest digital receipt ever, donate the most money, and again, maybe there's more, but this whole mystery and intrigue thing for people just to give someone free money, I don't get.
Totally understand, and that's your prerogative. I'm
only one person, right? Like, it's just, I'm not saying anybody else is wrong here.
I do want to move on. I got one more thought on this, just from I Can't Trade in the chat. It says, Joey, you're totally missing it. Jack's art is always performative. You're looking at this from a monetary perspective. That's exactly the point. It's not a monetary thing. If you know Jack, this will lead to something else. May or may not, but I think Jack's art is performative, and I'm not like a Jack Butcher bull. I hold maybe a few of those open editions, some small pieces. To me, more so than the receipt in the actual exhibit. It's something new. And I'm reinvigorated by this. We're getting back to experimenting on chain, doing new things. And I like when the collectors, the participants, can come along for the ride, even if there's no other ride. Maybe the ride ends as soon as Art Basel is over. I don't think that's going to be the case, but for $1, I'll roll the dice. But really appreciate the conversation. Really enjoyed it. That said, we got a special guest waiting in the green room here. I want to bring up Roham to get things moving on. Super busy guy. Big announcement this week. And I said it on the show. I got a couple clips went out there. I said it on my quote tweet. Like, not that I was a Flow bear. We're uncoincidentally, Joey is on the Beezy team. We're big fans of Beezy, a partner of ours. Been big fan of Flow. Steve was early to the rewards program there in season 1. And but I went from, I don't want to say bear. I just went from like Flow was just there. And I still hold my speaking of those early days, still hold my Cool Cats complete set. I tried to find my Cool Cats hoodie I was going to rock today, but it's in storage. I'm in the middle of a move. But this idea of getting back to our roots, that those 2021, that energy, the vibes, the working with the collectors, the active participants, those, not just the rewards, but the thought of I don't want it to seem it's just all hyper financialized, but the speculation is fun. The gamification is fun. And this announcement came out the other day, and I went I don't want to say indifferent, but for all, like, just being real, I was probably indifferent to Flow, to almost instantly became a Flow bull because of everything said in this announcement. So before we jump into I will pull it up here on screen. We'll let you talk through it. But first of all, GM, sir, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, impromptu like this. Before we get into all things Flow and these big announcements, I saw you caught some of that conversation. Do you have any thoughts or comments just on Art Basel, or this bubbles mint from Xcopy, or this Jack Butcher receipts? Anything in general you wanted to add or comment on the earlier discussion?
Well, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, I think you said it, or someone said it. The art is art. You can't. The whole point is the emotion that it incites, and so if you're pissed off at him, you're basically playing your part in his right. movie, right? Like he casted this, and you're sort of like showing up and playing that. So it sort of is what it is, and you have to have the at the end of the day, it's really good to have people taking shots at everything, because then that's how the human race progresses. And so evolution requires, so even if you believe it's right or wrong, I have to celebrate it. And so I'm very much, and I'm a Jake fan, and I think I think he's not trying to extract, because it's $1. So you don't it's a way to actually be sort of inclusive, and then see what happens. I think I see no problem with it.
Yeah. No, Art
Basel, on the other hand, is a separate story.
What's that?
I said Art Basel as a whole, on the other hand, I think is a separate story. But
we were talking right at the beginning of the show. Imla was down there. He was at the Beeple event. It feels to me, I'm heading down today, so I'll get to experience it in real time. But it seems to me like digital art's really having a moment this year. It seems to be kind of the talk of the town. I said I'm probably in an echo chamber here on crypto Twitter, but per Imlo down on the ground, he would agree. It seems to be like we're really having a breakout moment in terms of digital art in general. Have thoughts on that?
Well, look, I think at the end of the day, it's like we've carved out, it's a niche that's sort of growing every year. It was mostly hype when it took over Art Basel a few years ago, because it was mostly about the price, et cetera. And now for several years, it's not been about price at all. And still people show up, and the same is true of digital collectibles. Every sports conference you go to, there is a digital collectibles panel. There are people who show up and are passionate about that conversation, and from our sort of like when you think about kind of the community, it's sort of authentic and it's real, and we just got to invest in it and grow it. So I think that it's inevitable. And of course, I think the digital and physical worlds are sort of headed for a full collision with the more sort of AR, VR, and immersive technology actually gets in sort of people's lives. And so it's kind of inevitable that digital moniker is just going to get removed, and it's just art. And so it's art on a canvas. It's art with pixels. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. And it's Yeah, Joey, no offense, we're not taking shots at you, but I think part of that good art, it gets people on both. Like, good art isn't, oh, everyone loves this. Like, you go show a Rothko to 100 people and more than 50 of them say, why would anyone ever pay for that thing? But yet it's some of the most valuable art on the planet. So yeah, gets people talking. And I think that in itself is part of the art, in my opinion. And I'm here for it. So that said, let's get into this announcement. I'm just going to pull up this recent post because it really resonated with me, and not just because you dropped the F-bomb in the opening sentence, but I'll paraphrase it here. I'm not going to read the whole thing in detail, but the TLDR, we build apps for the world's most beloved brands, protocols, millions of users onboarded, billions in volume, but our mistakes were simple. Not enough value flowed to the believers who made it possible. We're fixing that now. Not only have we started updating the economics of our core products, we're also building a new slate of products and protocols with value creation at the core. The moment we need is finally here. 300 billion in stablecoins, 30 billion in tokenized real-world assets, trillions more on the way. The infrastructure and liquidity exists. What doesn't are the right products. DeFi today is hostile, demands technical mastery just to survive, slippage, MEV, liquidation cascades, the list goes on. Every interface is built by experts for experts. Everyone else is forced to stay on the sidelines. That's the gap we're filling. We've proven we can bring the benefits of crypto to mainstream users without asking them to become technical experts first. And we've proven to make complex technology feel simple. Now we're applying that to the biggest market, money. This is a really big deal. So I'll let you talk about these three big moves, but I've shared my story before. If you missed it, I found this space, which changed my life, by way of NBA Top Shot in January of 2021. I came prior to this space. I was big in the DFS space, and we've been grinding that area as like a part-time side hustle for about a decade. And a lot of the content creators in that world, they found Top Shot. It was the infamous Jonathan Bales article that, he bought the John Morant for $35,000. And at first I brushed it off. And a week later, I found myself in a Top Shot pack queue, went down that rabbit hole and never came out since. I even shared my first crypto wallet was created using my Gmail address by way of Flow and NBA Top Shot back in January of 2021. Had it not been, like, maybe I found my way, maybe the journey's just the same, but it had not been for Flow being very early to obfuscating the tech and making, it's simple to sign on, making it simple to get started, building products for consumers from the jump. I think it's been part of Flow's core is that consumer approach. Now we have everyone talking about consumer products or consumer dApps. And I said, like, you can't talk about big brands in this space and do it proper without mentioning Flow. And really, you shouldn't talk about consumer onboarding and building for consumers without talking about Flow. But yet, for a while, you weren't included in that conversation. While Top Shot continues to do its thing, there's other things. I think this move into DeFi, this Flow credit market, I think this is a really, really big deal. And I said it yesterday. I think right now, Flow might very well be the most slept on blockchain in all of crypto Twitter.
Well, we certainly think so. Absolutely. And by the way, can I hire you to voice over all my Twitter posts?
Sure. Yeah.
That was excellently done.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just like, feel free to take us wherever you'd like. We can go kind of through these big announcements one by one, or if you want to over a quick summary for those viewing in. I know that I'll try to get it as big as possible, but I'll be limited a little bit here by X in the screen share. It is pinned up top, though, if you want to reference back to it later. But we talk about not leaving. We talk about these are the times you want to be paying attention to the space. I can't see the future. I don't know what exactly is going to happen. My gut feels like we are at some inflection point, and I think the next 6 months is when this is the sort of stuff you really want to be paying attention to. Could you catch the back end of it if you come back in 6 months? Yeah, you could. But I think like now really could be some asymmetrical opportunities to be early. Like, we're all early, and we start talking about consumer DeFi. It's never been built for normies. Like, I have a in real life group chat with a bunch of my friends who are, all intents and purposes, by traditional standards, are all very successful. It's the accountants, the attorneys, the doctors, the dentists. They all do very well financially. They're all like the group chat called Pickers, and it started with just like stock picks and stuff. I've been beating like the Hyperliquid drum all year, and I don't think there's a single one of them that's got on Hyperliquid and made a single trade yet, because it's just not user friendly. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think consumer DeFi could very well be the next big thing to move in this space, and appreciate y'all taking the lead on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, making things easy and accessible was our thesis from the very beginning. And way back in 2016, 2017, we said, hey, crypto is much more than currency. The only thing people were thinking about back then was just let's mint new tokens. And in a sense, that's sort of everything we have since, including the latest apps are just trading interfaces for new tokens. And so it's almost like when we saw the stablecoin adoption, real world asset adoption, the crypto world seems to be looking to, the traditional fintech or banks to sort of be the interface to consumers. And I just think that's insane, because what's special about crypto is the programmability, the fact that you can build new kinds of products on top and then make them into tokens that anybody can trade fully seamlessly. And so our vision for kind of consumer DeFi is automated, personalized, agentic, and basically the way that our products work and the way that Flow works. There's Flow actions. The docs are out there. It's fully open source. Anybody can come and build these automated DeFi products, which are effectively, you're like training little agents that sit inside your wallet and perform actions for you. So whether that's, hey, if Bitcoin goes up, take out more debt, get farm this high yield source of funds, or whether it's trading stocks, or whether it's placing sports bets, or whether it's playing on prediction markets, anything that's tokenized, you can program around. And whether the interface of it is kind of like looks like a Robinhood, or whether it's a game, that's what we think the future of consumer finance is. It's not loading up a sort of talking to a banker. It's not even loading up like a traditional looking financial application, picking stocks, so on and so forth. It's trying to actually build these complex financial products that are now fully autonomous. If a billionaire or a hedge fund wanted to make a bet to say, hey, look, we think Google is going to win the AI wars, they wouldn't just go buy Google stock. They would structure a financial instrument, and then they would also watch it, and they would balance it depending on what happens in the markets. That says, hey, let's go long Google, let's go short Microsoft, let's go short Apple, let's try to find kind of ways to hedge out the market risk so that if AI as a whole crashes, but Google is still the winner, we're still going to make money. That's the kind of complex financial product that a high net worth individual would have access to, or an institution would have access to. In the world of consumer DeFi, that's just a token. And so any individual could come design that strategy and sell it to any other individual. Nobody's talking about the programmability of finance like this. And then when you think about the world like that, then you sort of think, well, not only can they come and tokenize that and sell it to that person, but they can do it anywhere, right? Whether it's inside a metaverse, whether it's on a financial looking product, whether it's on a social application. And that just is sort of the kind of the big vision here, is this financial sort of rails should be in people's own control, not controlled through intermediaries, like including banks and fintech.
Yep.
And then in addition, it should be kind of everywhere, because especially when you talk sort of to a new generation, they don't want to spend time on entertainment and gaming that doesn't sort of build skills or make them money or get them clout or sort of has some sort of productivity. It's when I was a kid, we just played games because we wanted to play games. And the new generation is also so much more sort of like networked, and so we're building products for those people, as well as kind of the to your point, the lawyers, the doctors, every single one of my friends that owns crypto, and maybe we're investors in Dapper, hold Flow, hold Bitcoin, whatever it is. I asked them, hey, how much are you earning on your crypto? They're like, what? That's the answer, right? Crypto is just sitting there in exchanges. Hundreds of 100+ million people just have their crypto sitting on a Coinbase. And so what if you could click, boom, now you're earning 10% on your Bitcoin, whatever it sort of might be. And in a way that protects you from liquidation, in a way that is fully transparent, not this like kind of hedge fund black box. It's just it's a token that you buy, but it's actually a dude on the other side putting hyperliquid bets with your money, and sort of you have no transparency into sort of how that works. It's just software, and it runs openly, it runs transparently, fully audited top to bottom. Eventually, we get smart contract insurance and all of those things on top of it, and that's what is ready for the mainstream. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you have to kind of do that diligence of from the ground up, from the core protocol all the way up to the user experience, that it sort of works. And the additional thing that we're doing very differently is that it's all open, so anyone can come copy it exactly as is day one. But in addition, it's all multi-chain. So working with Layer 0, the OFT standard, but also there's a sort of yield token minting, burning thing. So you can actually mint the yield sources directly on Flow. It burns the yield sources directly on Flow. You have wrapped Bitcoin natively on Flow. You have these stable coins, PayPal, USD, USDC, potentially more in the future, natively on Flow. But the actual assets could be bridged in from any chain, like I mentioned, Bitcoin, Ethereum, one-day stocks, real-world assets, whatever it might be. Same thing with the yield sources. So it's just a mind-blowing kind of vision, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Likewise, I do want to come back to the RWA piece here in a minute, but before we even go there, the one thing that kind of popped off the announcement or the post when I first saw it was this FCM, flow credit markets, and lending protocol that protects you instead of punishing you, as the language where traditional DeFi is punishing. You know, if you had an open trade on October 10th, you likely got liquidated. It waits until you're underwater, then it liquidates you and charges a penalty. Whereas FCM is active, uses native on-chain automation on Flow to monitor every position continuously and rebalance automatically before the position is at risk of liquidation. And you did major back testing, 100% survival rate, 99% cost reduction. Can you, without us getting too technical, can you expand on how that's possible? Is it just simply AI agents that are operating in real time and smart contracts that are doing all this balancing for us? Like, how is it, or is it you got to have a giant bucket of stables to make sure that they're able to reallocate those to prevent you from getting liquidated? Can you kind of take us through?
No, not at all. Yeah. So, and when I say agents, it's not the kind of AI agent thing that's actually doing sort of reasoning. It's really just workflows that are programmed to execute based on sort of predefined actions. So smart contract code that instead of running on a smart contract runs inside your wallet, and something that kind of looks like an NFT. So that's one piece of it. So and Flow Credit Markets is just something like Aave, a lending market, but it's built for that automation. And so what it does is you come to Flow Credit Markets, you put in your Bitcoin, and traditionally, on a normal lending network, you sort of take out whatever stable coins you take out. You take those to a DeFi yield farm. You put them in there. You earn some percent. But then if Bitcoin falls, you might get liquidated if it falls too much and you don't have enough of a kind of buffer. So most people build in a pretty significant buffer. They only go up to whatever 50% LTV, 40% LTV, depending on how much balls you have. And then on the other side, for Flow Credit Markets, it does it automatically. So it actually just says, hey, give me $100 of Bitcoin. Here's $90 of stablecoin. And if Bitcoin falls, I'm going to ask the agent, the workflow in your wallet, I'm going to ask it for more money. And so what the workflow in your wallet does is it takes the money from the lending protocol, puts it in a yield source. That's a delta neutral USD denominated yield source, whether that's kind of like a basis trade, whether that's a stablecoin farm, whether that's whatever it might be. And so it's because it's USD, it's very easy to unwind that. And so when Bitcoin falls, all it does is it unwinds your yield position and pays back the USD debt with the USD collateral. Or with the USD investment, rather than rather than selling your Bitcoin. So you never sell your Bitcoin, you're just winding your USD position up and down, up and down, up and down. And because Flow is super cheap and it has no MEV, no front running sandwich tax, etc., that is actually kind of financially attractable. And so that's kind of all it is to sort of start with. And but that automation unlocks a huge amount of sort of flexibility, because now you don't have to worry about, and if it goes up, by the way, it just rebalances it upwards and just takes out more debt, farms more yield. And so in sort of like Bitcoin terms, you're always having at the same percent APY, even though in dollar terms, it might go up and down. The flip side, you can also do, you can come park some stable coins and take out crypto debt and go farm crypto yield. Which normally would be dangerous because crypto might pop 20% in a single day, and boom, now you're liquidated on your US dollars, you get charged 15% penalty. But in this case, it wouldn't happen. If crypto pops, it just unwinds, it unstakes or sells the liquid staking token, pays back the debt, and boom, you're sort of in the same place. You're doing delta neutral yield farming. But you could program infinite types of strategies on top of that, right? And says, hey, I have Google and I have Microsoft. Google goes up, sell some Google, buy more Microsoft, balance it at 50-50. Or you say, hey, up to this price, do a 50-50, then let it sort of skew more Microsoft than Google, whatever kind of it might be. And those are just programmed as sort of workflows through little NFTs that sit in your wallet that sort of just balance stuff for you based on what happens outside in the market, whether it's on the lending protocol or future protocols. Like if you imagine like an automated version of a perp protocol, it's kind of the same thing. You can program all of these sort of rules into whatever workflow you want, and then it's fully just automated, sits out there, does what it does, and you benefit.
I love it. I guess so. It sounds incredible. At the same time, I think there's probably still people listening like, okay, how savvy do I need to be to actually do this? Like, do I, my assumption is you don't need to code. Do you need to be, how deep of a financial understanding, or is my understanding a lot of this is going to be driven or will be done on peak money? Am I correct in those dots correctly? Is that going to be kind of like the main forward facing consumer?
Yeah. Exactly. So I was describing kind of the protocol angle, and then the product we're going to build on top, peak money, peak.money, super simple, is just going to wrap around these things. And so it'll just be like buy, sell. That's kind of it, right? Or potentially like a prediction markets type interface, depending on the bet, where you're just like, yes, I think Google is going to be the winner, or I think Microsoft's going to be, or I think Apple's going to be. In the background, what that yes is doing is buying a token that has an automatically rebalanced sort of program wired into it. And that's either designed by, let's say, us, or designed by a financial expert, or designed by potentially future curators. And you might imagine kind of a two-sided marketplace where people who are experts in sports cards, or in sports betting, or in prediction markets, or in real estate, or in stocks, or in cryptocurrency can come and design these strategies and then sell them to customers. And the customer always has two choices, right? I believe in it, I'll invest in it, or I'll bet against it. And that's like pretty freaking cool. And they're both just tokens, right? And they execute automatically behind the scenes. So that's not the first version of the product you'll see. The first version of the product you'll see, the initial strategies are all pretty like the conservative type, as in you park your money in there, we'll go farm safe sources of yield, and you just get a high percentage return on your funds. And then there'll be a future version that's kind of like more a lottery style, where you park in $100, you get a slightly lower percent return, but then you're entered into a lottery to win a sort of pooled share of the yield. And so you put in $100, you might win $10,000 one month, that kind of thing. And so it's appealing to millennials who want to just get excited about 15% stablecoin yield. They'll fall over chairs trying to kind of access that. But then Gen Z, they don't care about 10-15% on their couple $1,000. What they want is an asymmetric opportunity for return. And so that's kind of what we're giving them. And then you just wrap around other applications like that, and you sort of need to figure out how to make them sort of easy to engage with, but also transparent to the user of what the hell am I buying and what are the risks that I'm taking. And that's kind of the most sort of important part, because most DeFi protocols is just like you see a percentage thing and you see a stake and you don't even know what the hell's happening. And sort of the expectation is, well, it's open source, go check it out. And obviously, nobody does that, least of all us apes.
Well, and I think trust is important too. It matters, especially when we talk about people outside this space. Like all of us here, we may have protocol trust in something like Hyperliquid. My friends don't, but you know what they do know? They know the team that brought CryptoKitties, NBA Top Shot, Disney Pinnacle, NFL. Like Flow has that trust and reputation outside of our crypto bubble, to where I think when people like, I kid you not, I have some of the, again, successful friends, been beating the drum, like, guys, you can earn double-digit yield on your dollars, on your stable coins. And like, oh, it's got to be a scam. It's too good to be true. Yep. It's not. It's just these are close friends, and I still haven't been able to effectively onboard them because A, there isn't that trust outside of this space for a lot of these DeFi protocols. B, there's a lot of our friends that have been in crypto for years that still struggled to get their first position opened up on something like Hyperliquid, because it's just not downloading an app and clicking some buttons. There's a lot of other things from bridging. And even though it's better than it used to be, I think the ease of use matters, the trust matters. And that's one of the things where I don't know as if the crypto native degens are connecting that dot yet to the credibility, the trust and reputation that Flow has outside of crypto.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, but it's partially that, but it's also just simplicity. Like, for example, obviously Coinbase, very trustworthy company, but you go on Coinbase, there's so many choices. I have to buy all of these tokens, and then I have to go to here to get this yield, and then there's a Coinbase wallet, but then there's a Coinbase. It's like a normal consumer, especially if they get forwarded to someone like Coinbase wallet, just freaks out because there's nothing to do at that point. There's no way they can sort of learn what they have to learn in order to figure out a non-custodial wallet. And so 100%, I mean, this product for a lot of my friends, let's say the class of Flow holders that are keeping it in Anchorage or keeping it in just sitting there in their Coinbase or whatever it might be. This is a plug and play. It's sort of it's as easy as a cash out. And to your point, by a company that is sort of backed by all these big brands, but also it's integrated with your bank account. It's integrated eventually with Visa, MasterCard, all of this stuff. It'll be a thing that feels very sort of familiar. And I keep kind of like making, I'm kind of bringing some TradFi examples. It's not just a crypto app, right? Like, it's a way to access tokenized finance. And the rails are all crypto and everything's a token, but you can use Peak Money and just have US dollars and just get a US dollar yield. You shouldn't think of that as I'm engaging in DeFi or I'm sort of part of a crypto network until you're actually in there, right? And then when you're in there, oh, wait, how did I kind of get in here, et cetera? But it should feel seamless and safe, kind of a non-technical kind of all the way through.
You nailed it. And I think, again, I'll keep likening back to my personal live journey with Top Shot is I maybe had a little bit of ETH, a little bit of Bitcoin in my Coinbase account prior to Top Shot. I didn't get into Top Shot to get into crypto. I got into Top Shot because I was into sports, I was into collectibles, and it just made sense. It made sense as a better form of a collectible to me. But it didn't take long after I got into Top Shot. Like, what is this block? Why? Like the light bulb just started going off. Okay, blockchain tech is much more than just cryptocurrency. There's a lot more that's unlocked here. But it took something that was very simple and I could relate to get me down that rabbit hole. And I think that consumer DeFi could have that exact same, like, yeah, my friends might be, okay, now I get it. I can earn 10% of my savings account. That's better than the percent from my bank. Some of them are going to stop there, but I think a lot will explore a little further. And we talk about like active participants and getting deep in the space. The next thing you know, they're taking a HELOC out on their house on chain. Like it's like I think this very well. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not just glazing you on the show. There's been so much talk of consumer dApps.
Yeah,
we haven't really had many, right? It's like it's been most cases extremely hyper financialized stuff that caters to the degens, but your normie, they're just not interested. Like they'll just go their sports book or prediction market, and this isn't something that they don't need. They don't feel a need in their life.
Right.
I think something as simple as, oh, you're going to make twice the amount of yield on your deposits on chain as you will in your traditional bank account. Kind of a no-brainer if there's trust. And yes, as with everything, there's protocol risks or smart contract risks, but not all crypto native companies are built the same. And the one thing before we get too far away from it, I want to acknowledge is I think it's important too that Peak Money is a Flow product. It's a Dapper Labs product. Apologies if I'm getting the vernacular wrong there, but it's incubated by or created by. I think the native dApps are important. Garga just had a post on this talking about other side and how important it is for Ape Chain and a lot of these chains. They don't have their own native dApps, and it's become a very much so a mercenary society where the next new shiny toy they're going to go to get pre-TG to get more rewards. I think building these homegrown dApps are very important. And just before we moved on, anything to speak to on? Do you agree? I assume so to some degree. Because
yeah, I mean, 1,000,000% on the, and that was always the strategy, right? If you look at kind of our earliest decks for when we started thinking about Dapper Labs, it was about how to build hit apps that then get the platform to sort of get the network effects. In the beginning, the platform was built on top of Ethereum, and then we realized, hey, we got to go kind of deeper into the stack. So 100% agree with that. But the thing we learned, I guess the mistake I made, let's say in the first generation of Dapper Labs, one of the mistakes of many, was that it has to be built in an open way where it's composable at every step, where both users and developers can come and kind of build stuff on top and sort of take stuff in and out in a super flexible way, not sort of have it on an island by itself. And that's what kind of means that the assets from any chain can kind of bridge in. That means people have no fear in terms of like building software on top. We have no special privileges on top of the protocol, on top of FCM, so on and so forth. And that's a big part of how we're building our products going forward is, yes, Dapper Labs is building kind of the hit application on top. And usually Flow Foundation might be building the protocol underlying it, but it's kind of open source from day one. FCM is already open source, even though it's not sort of fully in production yet, and we don't have that many external users on the platform. People can already go audit the code themselves, so on and so forth. And the Flow Actions piece, all the automation pieces has been open source for month and a bit now. So same thing. It's like people can build on top of it. They can audit it. They can feel safe doing it. And that also means it should be able to show up in other kinds of applications. So for a kind of a mainstream finance app, they could just have an earn button and then wrap around sort of our tokens just as easily as we do it eventually. And that kind of drives more volume. That brings it into more places. And that sort of like, seeds the crypto thing inside more people without kind of that barrier of I have to kind of go change my behaviors, go somewhere else, go kind of find a whole different way to use software in order to kind of figure out how to participate in this thing. So 100%.
You mentioned there in passing about like the dev activity. I don't have a report to pull up in front of me, but I remember seeing one not too long ago that I think maybe was it the most of the year, or the dev activity, the new devs on Flow,
Yep.
those metrics, whether it was total dev activity or new devs moving to Flow.
New developers, yeah.
New developers, right? Like anything you can add
Yeah,
to that.
we're in something like the top 20 for layer ones in terms of number of developers, and then it's been fastest growing chain for I don't know how many of the months this year, but one of the fastest growing overall in 2025, and it's also been crushing it at hackathons. So even hackathons where we don't have formal presence in, Flow is either the first or in the top 3 of sort of what developers choose. It's been the first at every single one we've had presence in, and then recently Dev Connect in Argentina, which is one of the biggest kind of developer conferences in crypto, period. It was Ethereum first, Base second, Flow third. We had no presence, no prizes, no sponsorships. It was just no booth. It was just kind of organic interest in sort of what we're offering.
Not to get you to share any special sauce or secrets, but
well, look, no, it's nothing special sauce. Our kind of like marketing strategy is to be very product led and actually sort of just, hey, these are products you can use, and also these are tokens you can buy. But on sort of the main reason I think we're winning with developers and the next generation is because of the technology. And since we went EVM equivalent late last year, Flow is basically this thing of like, hey, you get everything in EVM, but then you get this extra stuff that's like, wait, what? You can do that? Full automation. You can have on-chain randomness. You can have super easy user experience and onboarding. You can have very sort of flexible ways to kind of batch transactions and get really low gas. You have no MEV. You just have all these, like, it's EVM plus is kind of how I think about it, and it's fully compatible with all of the assets on everything on EVM. And thanks to Layer 0, that's like super seamless. So that's, I think, what's the story is positive. And now, of course, it's applications too, right? Like people want to see their app next to NBA, NFL, Disney, Ticketmaster, Live Nation. They see, hey, it's Ticketmaster, Live Nation alone, over 10 million normies fully onboarded, over 100 million NFTs, and across the rest of Dapper, a few million more and 100 million more NFTs. And so it's kind of like, and they're products that you can use today. And by the way, the other thing I was going to say is, like, every time in crypto, we get this like hype-led sort of price movement, but for most of the world, they're sort of like yes, BlackRock, Larry Fink is a super smart guy, and he's saying that tokenization is the future. But so what for me, right? Like, hey, the president is saying, hey, we're going to modernize the U.S. financial system and stable coins are the future, and J.P. Morgan and all this stuff. But so what for me? And there's nothing that they can kind of do about it. And their friends are saying, like yourself, hey, you can get 20% on DeFi. But realistically, the number of steps, they're not even comfortable having a non-custodial wallet. They don't want to have 10K in the MetaMask with a seed phrase. Like, someone's going to hack that thing. So and they're right. They shouldn't, right? Like they're probably going to lose more money in through hacks and whatever if they're not able to learn. And so that's kind of like what our products have, I think, always been in the cycle. Is there's been a narrative run up, but there's a little bit of disillusionment because it hasn't crossed the chasm in a sense, because for most of the public, it's still nothing's changed in their lives because of crypto. And then like NBA Top Shot comes out and it's like, wait, crypto can do this? Or even CryptoKitties the first time, it's like, crypto can do this? And I think here it's sort of like, whoa, like if people start to see that vision of automated, agentic, personalized finance, I think that's even crypto people aren't talking about it sort of in those terms. And I think that changes everything. It changes all of consumer life. And by the way, it starts with sort of like stocks and crypto and whatever, but eventually every single market, every single peer-to-peer transaction, every single peer-to-peer network will be tokenized, whether it's Airbnb or your DoorDash deliveries. You can put prediction markets on top of whether your delivery driver is going to be on time or not. And that's what's going to be driving kind of your them being on time, so on and so forth, is partially what I believe. Now, whether it happens in like food delivery or in other kinds of networks first, that's sort of open question. But right now it's happening in finance, and the reason that finance sort of people are so excited about tokenization, when you go to these sort of, you talk to the people actually, driving it from the Wall Street side, they talk about lower friction, they talk about lower costs, they talk about 24/7 markets. They do talk about programmability, composability, but in the sense of like, sort of one way things. No one's thinking about, well, what's the next layer of this? You can actually build software to manage this stuff. And not only does that cut out all the intermediaries, it makes things so much more accessible, because just, software does that every kind of 20 years, right? Where it takes something that was that was only a small group of people and says, hey, anybody can kind of use this. And so that's what we're trying to do here.
Very, very cool. I have a couple of questions. Joe, I saw you fly back up. We'll get you in a minute. Questions, comments. One, it is really impressive when you flow the devs you're attracting, the developer activity in a post-TGE environment. It was one of the things to kind of set up Joey here, who's on the Beezy team. I questioned when Beezy moved to Flow. I'm like, why would you move to Flow? There's no tokens. There's no TGE. They've already done it. Like, why? You've got all these other new, highly anticipated chains. Why wouldn't you go there? And I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but I will say people matter. The team matters. My experience, in interacting with the Flow team has been, I would go as far as to say, first in class. Like, it's just, they're very responsive. They seem to care. They're supportive. And I do think that matters. I think TGEs can come and go, and what then happens is important. It doesn't get talked about enough. dApps matter, the builders matter, and the fact that you've been able to attract upcoming brands like Beezy, and I'm sure there's other incentives there beyond just TGE, but I do think that's noteworthy, and it is impressive the dev activity you're seeing in an environment where you got things like Monad just launched, you got Mega ETH coming, and I've been pretty critical of Monad, not the tech, not the chain, but they launched after years of building with like, I don't want to say no dApps, there's dApps on there, but nothing novel, nothing exclusive, nothing to make me like, I'm tempted to force myself to do something on the chain, and it's like there's a beer pong game that's the easiest, quickest farm that's not sticky, like not something I would never use if not for a reward environment. But, and I'm not trying to make this PvP, I'm not trying to pick on other chains, but people do matter, the team matters. And I guess, Joey, to bring you in here, go ahead and feel free to, after you answer the question, take whichever question you'd like. But anything to add to that in terms of like why Beezy, anything you'd like to share on your experience working with the Flow team or building on Flow? Not to put you on the spot, but since you threw your hand up to ask a question, I'm going to ask you in your words, why did Flow Why did Beezy choose Flow?
Yeah, I mean, the team is very responsive, whether it's development issues, whether it's marketing. We have a great open line of communication with the team. And I can say, like, back in the day when we were before we went to Blast originally, and then when we were exploring other chains, one of the biggest deciding factors was team accessibility. Like, how long would it take when we reach out to a member of the team to get a response, to get help, to get support? And then what you guys have been talking about, like, one of the deciding factors again was consumer rails, right? Like, how easy was it for us to integrate credit cards and debit cards and Apple Pay and Google Pay and, right, like single social sign-on and all these things that make onboarding non-Web3 natives easier. So, I mean, our experience on Flow has been awesome, and I have nothing really negative to say.
Awesome, appreciate you sharing. And I didn't want to step on you and make you answer my question instead of getting yours in there. But did you have a question for Roham?
Yeah. So, part of everything that's been talked about and everything that's been shared in the future, it's all great. And I know one of the criticisms that we see in the space of a lot of big brands, which is talked about a lot, is comms and marketing and reaching the right people. Can you speak to what Flow's strategy or what their plan of attack is going to be to get these new consumer DeFi, the new apps, like, to get this into the hands of the right people over the next maybe 6 to 12 months, 2 years, whatever that looks like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I think there's, so to be clear, there's going to be two entities working on this stuff. So Flow Foundation is a nonprofit focused on building kind of the core infrastructure of Flow. They built the FCM smart contracts, and so they're mainly focused on kind of token holders, international expansion, and sort of the people using the protocol, either developers or traders or folks using non-custodial wallets, even MetaMask, so on and so forth. And so they're kind of taking a very crypto native approach with we're expanding our presence in Asia very heavily. We're sort of trying to build or rebuild our foundations in terms of a community that is bought in at an early level, whether that looks like a re-TGE with sort of bringing in folks who have either contributed to the network in a heavy way or going to contribute to the network in a heavy way, incentivizing them to kind of be part of the protocol, kind of recreate a sort of ground up sort of army of folks, both here in North America as well as in Asia. So it's a very kind of regional specific strategy, very crypto native strategy. And look, I mean, part of the reality is also the protocols we build may themselves need their own sort of token economies, and so we need to sort of build the communities and the education kind of around that. And not, again, from a technical necessarily standpoint, but from a social, emotional, community building and sort of incentive alignment standpoint. And then Dapper Labs is the one that's kind of going full consumer and focusing on what we do best, which is building great products that themselves also have native growth loops built in them. So whether that's, hey, invest with your friends, whether that's onboard your friends, get a piece of it, whether that's referral, KOL centric kind of growth, whether that's what I was talking about in terms of bringing in people who have their own strategies, potentially with their own audiences that are now sort of selling their product to their consumers. It's just on top of our rails. That's sort of what Dapper Labs does best, and that's the path that we're going to go. And that is also a global focus, because in a lot of ways, the biggest demand for USD stablecoins is coming from people who don't have sort of easy access into USD. And this kind of gives them also easy access into all of DeFi. And so like we're sort of dividing and conquering, I guess, now. Instead of both organizations trying to do both things, Dapper stays focused on the consumer angle, Flow builds the protocol and sort of focuses on the sort of crypto native kind of angle. And of course we have sort of the press, the influencers, KOLs, so on and so forth. But the most important thing is to have native growth loops that make the products themselves viral and exciting. And so Peak Money is going to go through a multi-month kind of a ramp up period where, it'll be sort of invite only. You can sign up now to get on the wait list. First people on the wait list will have priority. And over time, it kind of expands from there.
You mentioned, the people that have right at the end, towards the end, you mentioned the people that want the USD stables or people that typically don't have access to USD. So have you guys, you mentioned global, but do you guys have a targeted approach of like, hey, listen, we're going to go after Asia first, we're going to go after Europe first, or like, what does that look like for you when it comes to like which markets, or is it just truly we're going to go global and attack everybody at once?
No, it's sequence. I mean, eventually global, and we do have partners in Europe. We have team members in Europe, Latin America, and Africa. But the priority is Asia and North America, and setting up real presence in Japan, Korea, China, and then to an extent, kind of Singapore, and from there Southeast Asia, and North America. So North America, I feel, is where our best skills are, and we have our the best partners we could possibly have. And then we are we're hiring full-time folks. We have reached out and built rebuilt our networks with the folks that we used to work with, as well as new KOLs and networks in Korea, Japan. And then we're also launching our products there. So whether it's I don't know if I can say which specific product yet, but kind of partnering with distribution partners in Japan, Korea specifically to start, and getting our products actually in the hands of consumers with local payment rails, potentially on local marketplaces, that kinds of things. So you can imagine kind of buying a Top Shot pack on an e-commerce site that is sort of Japan centric, for example, and that kind of being what leads you into the Top Shot ecosystem. And obviously, for certain of our products, that might be a massive market for them, but that's like people using the actual base application, and then Peak Money kind of comes in as sort of the next leg in that as well. And so it's always sort of pincer movement. We go with the protocol and the token and try to build that kind of local crypto native community, while at the same time coming in with the products and actually making things that people want to use, to the point of, to Chris's point, not force themselves to use. And potentially they come at it from other directions. People discover the token and are like, whoa, this product exists. Oh, I can get it on Rakuten or whatever it might be. Or people discover the product and then they ask themselves, wait, this is things on a blockchain. Wait, I can just list it on the local exchange, whatever it might be. So that's kind of the strategy there. And once we, I think, are really happy with our deep presence in Asia, that's when we'll prioritize the other markets. But I'll be in the Middle East for all of the conferences next year, half a dozen times. And I'll also be, and obviously, like I said, we have team members across the world. So it's not like we're ignoring everywhere, and we want to support builders everywhere. We have builders in India. We have builders in Dubai. We have builders in Africa. So, but like the priority is going to be Korea, Japan, China, and in North America.
Very cool. I know we got to get each out of here soon. If I could rapid fire a couple more questions for you. I do want to. I got one question on the RWA, specifically in the housing approach. I just want to flash up here as well for the builders. If any builders listening in and you want more information, or you'd like to work with the Flow team, or at least explore it, head to flow.com/startups. You can see there they've got, they're really. I mean, Joey told you there's a lot going on, and it's I think you'd be doing yourself an injustice if you're looking to build on chain. You don't at least check it out. Don't at least talk with the team.
I want to plus one on that also, because I even have experience with that myself. I don't know if you remember, but last February I partnered with Flow Foundation and launched Flowers on Flow, which was an 1,800 piece art collection, and I was able to receive a grant for doing that, and wouldn't have been able to build such a robust collection of art on Flow without that. So if you're an artist or builder, look to the Flow Foundation, and they're even happy to answer questions also.
That's awesome. I appreciate you adding that. And I take my takeaway there, and this isn't, please don't take this as any offense. It's not meant to be that way whatsoever. But my takeaway is, whether you're an artist and you're looking to build something new, experiment on chain, or you're looking to build a massive consumer app on chain that you envisioned to become the next unicorn startup in crypto. My read, Roham, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like Flow's looking to work with both the from the artists to the builders that are looking to build the $100 million, $1 billion enterprise. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. I mean, we definitely want to make folks as successful as possible. And so we might have suggestions in terms of like business model or pricing or this kind of thing. But where I see myself is intersection of culture and technology, and I think artists are actually the folks that kind of see ahead of the companies, right? You need to take, like I said, you have to celebrate sort of any expansion of the design space, and so 100%. We'd love to hear from artists, builders, users, traders, and degens alike.
My last question for you, and then I might have one more from the chat, and then any closing comments before we get you out of here. I've got this home equity line of credit. There's been a lot, for last year plus, there's been a lot of talk about RWAs on chain, but it's mostly been collectibles or we're going to tokenize equities. Since January 21 or shortly thereafter, people were talking about bringing real estate on chain and bringing, like, that to me is a industry that is prime for disruption. I'm not going to go on a rant about like the notary or we'll laugh in 10 years about we had to go see a signature priest before we could, close a transaction. It just seems very antiquated, seems prime for disruption. How close are we to this? How close are we to actually being able to tap into the equity of our home on chain? Or dare I say, go get a mortgage on chain because of our on chain assets? Is this, and are we thinking like months away? Are we still years away, decades away? How close are we to this becoming like a real scalable reality?
I mean, my bet would be definitely not decades and probably not months. So definitely years. And I would guess on sort of the order of 5. Look, when we wrote people ask us how we came up with a non-fungible token standard and concept of non-fungible tokens. And the first thing we thought of wasn't cats. It was actually trying to figure out how would you represent plots of land on the blockchain? Because it would be hard to create a new ERC20 for all of them. And then you have to write software that sort of says all these ERC20s are the same, kind of asset, they're land. And then, but they're all individually unique. And it's sort of, what if you sell a piece of land? It became a whole sort of thing. And so that's what Dieter came up with. Hey, you need a new kind of token that's can be part of a category, but is individually unique. And so it's been, like 10 years that it's sort of part of the, consciousness of developers and whatnot. It's just for one thing, it's a slow industry. And yes, there's a lot of waste in the individual kind of transactions. But there's so much like network effects and pre-established behavior and switching costs. And at the end of the day, the buyers don't buy homes a million times a year, right? You buy a home every few years at a time. And so yes, you're paying a high tax, but you're a hard customer to sort of bring into a new environment. And so I think things like home equity lines of credit, that kind of thing will have the most impact. And sort of the tokenization of real estate also enables things like for example, on the peak money, you could have home equity lines of credit on one side of it. And the next generation of sort of CDOs and sort of baskets of loans, but with full transparency into everything, where agents and people can sort of like audit exactly, hey, what's in this piece of what's in this token, what kind of yield sources is it relying on, so on and so forth. So I think it's inevitable. It's just a question of kind of timing. And I think the first thing that's going to happen is stable coins. The second thing that's going to happen is stocks and those kinds of assets, and that kind of derivatives built on top of those. And then you sort of have the more heavy items. And it's absolutely bonkers, the kind of efficiency that we can imagine being built on top of these assets. But you sort of have to like sell the supply side, not just the demand side, because the demand side is so intermittent.
I agree. I also feel it's inevitable, but I also believe we don't get there if not for people like yourself and teams like Flow that are taking these big shots, pushing the space forward. It's not just going to happen. It's a Herculean effort. It's just, it also at the same time, it seems so, like I said, the current system is just so antiquated. There's so much better ways to do it. It's a lot of moving parts, and it takes, both the demand and the supply side to get on board, and a lot of other entities and municipalities. Like it's a big lift, but I think there will absolutely be a day in the future where we look back and like we make fun of, can't believe the process we used to go to buy a home back 20 years ago.
Yeah, and that's my belief too, is that it won't be like some guy that comes in from the top and builds a single solution for everyone. It'll be people with deep local expertise, whether it's in their municipalities or states or countries in case of federal jurisdictions. And those are the kind of folks we're sort of working with. So the first version might just be for, let's say, British Columbia or for California or whatever it might be. And then you might have to sort of reinvent it to be for somewhere else. And then you might have to reinvent it again to be kind of an umbrella that sort of puts everything into one standard.
Makes sense. The question from the chat I had, and you maybe have already answered Dort's question throughout the show today, but I wanted to pull it up there on the screen. He says, man, I onboarded into Top Shot. Flow is my first NFT experience. Heck, Dort is his Web3 identity as a result. He cornered the market on Lou Dort Top Shot moments back in the day. And it's become his whole entire personality years later. He dabbled in Doodle's wearables as well, but hasn't been back since. What pulls him back? So in your words, maybe he's not in really consumer DeFi. I'm making things up for Dort here. What would someone like Dort or someone who was big into Top Shot or CryptoKitties or NFL all day, and then they've moved on, what should they look at? They're not a builder. They're not looking for a grant or coming to build on chain.
Yeah.
What's something actionable that they should go check out or look for? I know the rewards were between seasons. That was everything we didn't even hit on, but got to give a lot of credit there because it was a hit. Like, Steve was on here gunning for his iPad every day and like doing things that wasn't just for points or magical internet dollars, but real world products that people were getting rewarded were some incredible rewards. In your words, what should Dort or anyone else, what should bring them back? What should they check out on Flow, or what should they look forward to?
Well, I think we're having our best season yet on Top Shot. And so that I would start with that. And, there I would either go down the kind of the gaming angle and playing fast break and whatnot, because when most people in the crypto world were participating in Top Shot, there was only buying and selling on the marketplace, not this like utility and then community that's sort of around it. We have chat in the product, we have social feed, it's evolved a lot. And then the flip side is the economy is, especially of sort of the new season and everything going forward, and especially of rookies, is rock solid. And you can go, there's new analytics features that keep getting better every single day on Top Shot, and you can go and see, hey, how have rookies performed over time? How have rookies performed when we're starting to do better on the court and they're starting to break out, so on and so forth. And that relationship between on court action, the marketplace action, the floors being easy to move because they're the assets are really rare and they get into the right people's hands quickly. All that stuff's working really, really well. And so I would say whether you're excited about the marketplace and sort of the buying, flipping, or long-term holding, or the sort of gameplay, the community, the social angle, the product has evolved light years since people played with it. And then I would say same thing with Pinnacle, Disney Pinnacle, where again, asset quantities are very tight. We're really building a sort of tightly controlled economy. And then there's trading as well as marketplace buys and sells. So a lot of people find that a lot more kind of social and engaging. I'm sort of investing in that experience too. And then CryptoKitties, there's the Telegram game, which is a few 100,000 users. But we're starting to think about bringing people into sort of the next version of the product there too. So we've been super busy across the teams, and every team is basically like its own little mini studio. And so basically, no matter which IP or kind of, in this case, industry, in the case of DeFi you're a fan of, we're going to be making moves, announcements every couple months. And so just follow us on Twitter and tell us what you like, and we'll tell you what to play around with.
I know I shouldn't out DMs. I'm going to out one. Board Clint, I hope you don't mind. After my bull posting low last couple days, he got in my DMs and says, he commented on a couple posts, and he followed up with a DM and says, I quote, I think Pinnacle may be bigger than what Top Shot was in 2021. Let me know if you have any questions, can walk you through it. So if anyone wants to do the deep dive, I'm sure there's people on the Flow team as well, or hit up Board Clint. There's a lot of Pinnacle fans out there. And I said it earlier, like, you can't talk about consumer brands or big brands that are building on chain and not have Flow in the conversation. If you are, it's disingenuous. It's, you rattled off some numbers earlier from Disney to Top Shot. And I mean, just Ticketmaster alone probably dwarfs what most chains have done from a consumer user base standpoint. And it's really impressive. I'm grateful you're here. I'm not to be cheesy, but I have Flow and Top Shot to thank for my crypto journey. And it's had it not been for the consumer-friendly approach back early on, leading the way there, maybe it doesn't play out like it does. So really appreciate not just your time today, but truly appreciate the big shots, pushing the space forward. You probably could be on an island somewhere and say, this was fun, I'm going to move on, but you continue to double down. And this really, there's something happened this week. It really, I was, kind of joking, I was patting myself on the back, called Bitcoin bottom in the 80s. Hopefully it was, but it was really more so than just price action. It's Art Basel, it's this flow announcement. It feels like feels like we're kind of getting back to, I don't want to say our roots, but I'm getting this sense in that we're the large crypto native brands, the users. It feels like we're kind of getting back to those early 2021, 2022 roots that created this excitement, this fun, like the experimenting on chain, the doing new things. And yeah, just really appreciate you guys from everything you've done thus far. And again, I don't say this lightly, like you could have went the easy route. What you're attempting to not do that, but tackle on some really big challenges and push this space forward, and much respect. Anything I didn't ask you, anything that you were hoping to talk about that I didn't tug a string on, or anything we didn't cover that you'd like to share with everyone before we get you out of here?
Yeah, no, look, I really appreciate you saying that, and obviously, job's not finished, so we're not going anywhere, and we got a lot of work to do. In terms of things, look, like the other aspect that we didn't talk about among our kind of the heritage products, the NBA, NFL, Disney, etc., is part of our goal is also to sort of take those users and take all of those communities and just bring them into the world of crypto, one sort of feature at a time. So for example, today, you can go on Disney Plus and you can get access to Disney Pinnacle, get some benefits there. You can go through NBA ID. As long as you signed up there, you get a crypto wallet. We can start giving you top shots. Every single NFL game this season, every weekend, there's at least one game going on where you can get an NFL all-day account and a collectible specifically from that game. So, well, how can we kind of pull on that thread and expand it and sort of find sustainable ways where we can deepen the fan experience, maybe with stablecoin and yield products, maybe with fungible tokens and sort of creator economies with the athletes, that kind of thing, with us musicians and event spaces, whatever it might be. And so we want to also work with people who have these ideas, not to like say, hey, how do I make this guy $1 million on an NFT drop, and then they just go away and never pay attention to those people again. But how do you actually create the future of social media where you're giving back to the fans as well as kind of creating value for the creator, not the app kind of in the middle, right? And I think that is what sort of the next big sort of step forward is. And just want to jam with everyone who has the same ideas. And like you said, we help folks through the foundation, but I invest as an angel, and I can help connect folks with our network of investors, all of whom I think share this vision of crypto is much more than currency, and it actually should be adding value to everybody. And if it adds value to everybody through banks and DATCOs and NASDAQ listed markets, that kind of defeats the point. The whole point was without intermediaries, in people's control, and just software end to end. And so that's what we're trying to create.
You know what? That kind of was a little unlock for me. Someone I saw recently said this wasn't the meme coin cycle. It was the cycle of the institutions. And it's hard to deny that with, the TradFi, the DATs, the ETFs, the Wall Street coming in and buying all of our at least the Bitcoin and ETH. I think, well, yes, it's also, it's like, it was inevitable for mainstream adoption. At the same time, there was this thing about crypto that felt like we were different. We didn't have to go the traditional route. I don't want to say better than, but I think there's been something this cycle where we kind of got away from the user, the active participant. And I think that's kind of sums up what I feel is coming back to some degree. It's not that the institutions are going to go away now, but just because they're here doesn't mean we still can't have our fun in this playground, if you will, and continue to experiment on chain and bring some of the fun back. And yeah, that was, not if you intended that, but it was a little bit of an unlock there for me. So really enjoyed 100%. The conversation. It's been too long. You're welcome back anytime. I gave the team some flowers earlier, but genuinely mean it. You've built a world-class team around you there, and appreciate each and every one of them and all that you guys are doing. And are you in Miami? Did I catch it? Are you in Basel this week or no?
I'm in Miami. I'm trying to stay out of the craziness as much as possible, but we're doing a little offsite here, and the weather's perfect. So from that sense, it's great.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy Miami, enjoy the experience. Hopefully not too much craziness, but really appreciate your time this morning. It's been a pleasure, and appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you. Good to see you. Take care.
Likewise. Have a great day. With that, Imlo, I saw you came off mute. Did you have a quick question or anything you want to get in there before we wrap up?
Would be happy to give away a piece from my Flow collection to follower if you want to. I mean, to a listener if you want to do a giveaway of some art during Art Basel.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me. Do you want me to pick a winner, or you want to pick someone from the comments?
Whatever you want, or we can run a raffle or something, and you can pick it tomorrow. Whatever you want.
Let's do that. If you're good, just for sake of time, we'll wind things down. And if you good to rejoin us tomorrow?
Happy to.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do a raffle. We'll kick things off with that tomorrow morning, and may go audio only tomorrow. I think because as I said, I'm heading down to Miami here this morning, and probably I'll be down there tomorrow, but probably heading back maybe during the show. So we might go audio only, TBD. But appreciate y'all being here. Really enjoyed the show. Big thanks to our special guest and everyone who contributed. As my buddy Steve would say, even though he's no longer here on the show, he too wishes you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.